Hello, everybody. This is Nikki from Motherhood. Unfiltered is going to be okay. And I hit record, and then I was just sitting here, like, waiting for something to happen. I thought, oh, maybe I should add myself to the stream. So, yeah, this is how it's going to go today, I guess. Um, so, this is the last episode in my summer decluttering slash cleaning series. I hope you enjoyed the first three that I've done so far. This last one is how to declutter while living with depression. And that's definitely me because I've been doing that. And I've, I've had depression since I was an adult. I know I had it as a teenager, but that was the 80s, and they didn't take you to the doctor for that. Or at least my parents didn't. So, but something I probably should have been, you know, taken care of before. But that's in the past now. Now I'm an adult and I'm responsible for myself. So I do try to take care of myself. So, so I do want to go over the episodes. Oh, hold on. Hold on. There we go. I had to. I'm trying to be more organized in my videos. Hope you've noticed that. So in the summer decluttering slash cleaning series, you can check it out on the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast or YouTube. It will be on Rumble too. Um, but I only had so much room to put all this stuff on here. Um, so there's four episodes, and the first one is what causes stress in your messy home. Why should we clean or declutter our homes? How do you prevent clutter? And then how do you declutter while living with depression? It is a long process. You just do a little at a time, which is what I've done. And so, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the series. And if you are watching on YouTube, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, please go to Apple iTunes and rate and review the podcast for me. Lets me know how I'm doing, and my husband would greatly appreciate it. So, without further ado, we will get started. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Motherhood Unfiltered is going to be okay. My name is Nikki, and I am a life coach and mental health advocate for moms. My mission is to help moms move forward with confidence as they overcome the hurdles of mental health struggles. I have personally experienced the challenges of depression and anxiety, and I know how hard it can be to feel like you're just surviving day to day. But with the right tools and guidance, it's possible to not just survive, but to thrive. As a coach, I provide support, encouragement, and practical skills to help moms build resilience and regain control over their lives. Through my work, I have seen firsthand the transformation that can occur when moms are empowered to take charge of their mental health and well-being. So if you're a mom who's feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or just not yourself, I want you to know that it's going to be okay. I'm here to help you navigate these challenges and move towards a life where you feel confident, fulfilled, and thriving. Let's connect and get started. So today we're going to talk about how to declutter while living with depression and anxiety. And a lot of my things that I use, I get from the Minimal Mom, Dawn Matson. I absolutely love her. She's the only person that I I've only really not talked to, I've never talked to her, but listened to and watched her videos while trying to navigate my own, decluttering my house and cleaning while living with depression. I know she doesn't suffer from, well, I'm pretty sure she doesn't. I know she has anxiety about things. So, so I went through her material because a lot of these things that I have done, I've gotten them from her. So some of the things that she recommends is to start small and set realistic goals, which we talked about that. When you start to clean or declutter, not to feel like you're going to get everything done in one day because it's not going to happen. Um, Focus on one area at a time. She uses the 4 box method. I thought it was 3 boxes, but it's actually, but when I looked it up, it was 4 boxes. She does the 90-day rule, which is, um, let's see, 6 months, 6 months, yeah. And, and of course, she, says you need support and accountability, because if you don't hold yourself accountable, then nothing's going to get done. We can go through and declutter our home and clean our home, but if we never get rid of the stuff that we decluttered, it's it's still there. It's still in your home. You need to get rid of it. And so that was one of the things that really hit home with me was getting it out of your house as soon as possible. Um, and so that's why I just loved how she explains it and she simplifies it for my brain to understand. And you really got to be honest and you got to know yourself. My dog's up here and she's asleep. She loves her mom. And if you're not honest with yourself, then what happens? You never get rid of anything and you make excuses. And if you make excuses, that doesn't help nobody and it doesn't help you. So I strongly encourage you to really take these things. And I hope that as you watch these videos or listen to the podcast, that you are actually taking action and doing some of these things. And if you need accountability, look me up, sister. I got your back. Because I've actually have done these things. I mean, you would not. I wish I had pictures. I might have some pictures of before and afters, but I didn't take pictures. I just wanted it out of my life. And I just hope the things that I have donated have helped other families who were suffering or who didn't have what they needed. So, okay, so let's get started. So start small and set realistic goals. Um, so what does that mean? Well, we know Dawn, knowing she's a minimal mom, she recommends starting with small decluttering projects. Um, because if they're too big, you're gonna feel overwhelmed, and if they're too big of a job, you're gonna get decision fatigue. And we don't want you to have decision fatigue. So for me, when I am going through something and I ask myself 3 questions: is it trash? Yes, no. Yes, throw it away. No, does it serve a purpose? Yes, no. Yes, okay. Do I have multiples of it? No. okay, then I need to keep it if I'm going to use it. Is it sentimental? So the one that gets me the most is a sentimental one, and I know it gets you too. So for me, if I'm in the middle of a decluttering project, I will put all the sentimental stuff to its own pile. And I will either deal with it when I get done, or I will deal with it by itself at another time. So that cuts it out right away. So trash, broken, those are easy things. Um, Now, I've mostly gone through everything in my house. The thing about decluttering is you want to touch it at least once. You want to get it out of its home. You want to look at it. You want to touch it. You want to get it everything out. That's that's the mental and physical process of decluttering. Because if you don't move it out of its space, then there's other things that could be in that cabinet or in that drawer, in that tote, in that box that does need attention. So it's best just to pull everything out and to look at it, to hold it, and to ask those questions. Um, is it broken? Is it trash? Yes, no. Yes, throw it away. There's no decision in that. And she does suggest, which I think we'll get into in the next one of the other bullet points, is trash needs to go into a black trash bag. Um, so, let's see what else. So breaking these down into smaller chunks helps to build momentum and prevents added stress. And she talks about that all the time. So for an achievable goals, if you're going to do a decluttering session, maybe like 15 minutes, just work on a single drawer, or just get into a closet and organize a small closet. Just do something that's small and manageable. One of the things that I worked on last week was my entertainment center. It has 4 drawers in it. I had already decluttered it once. I was keeping our movies in there, and I had gotten rid of a lot of them. So all I had in there, 2 of the drawers, I was just throwing stuff in there, like white cords and wires, just miscellaneous stuff. I had exercise items in there. And then the other 2 drawers had some more movies in them. So some movies I still kept, um, because they mean, I like them and I watched them. Um, then, but now, one drawer I have my exercise stuff in. So I have my videos, some things I've gotten from work, like those, I can't, you put them on a doorknob and you pull on them to stretch. You use them for exercise. I have 2 weights in there, has some exercise videos in there. So I kept those because I've been, you know, trying to get back into an exercise routine because I gotta lose weight. Um, and then 2 of the drawers, one of the drawers has my current DVDs that I'm watching, which I'll talk about that in just a minute. Um, and then 2 of them are empty. So, I mean, I don't need 4 drawers full of stuff. And then it has 4 little shelves on it. So, they don't have anything on them either. But, so that's one of the things that, and this has to do with the financial part, is I never paid for like a yearly subscription. I always pay monthly subscription because I'm like, okay, I don't want to pay for a year. I don't want to commit to a year to something, even though some of the stuff I do pay, I do keep it for years and years and years, especially like streaming services. So, but what I was finding was I had so many things coming out of my account each month I was forgetting about. And I needed to keep the services, or I wanted to keep the services, but I needed to keep the monthly um, transactions down because it was just too much for me to handle. So, what I started doing was paying for this stuff, some of the stuff that I do a year at a time. And and when you pay a year at a time, they give you a discount. So that was another added plus. Now, when I was a single mom, there was sometimes I couldn't afford to pay for a year at a time. So I definitely had to do the monthly thing. So, but now that, um, which we've been really trying hard to pay off our consumer debt, and I've not been trying to incur more debt because I like to shop. Um, and I think a lot of it is from um, child how I was raised. We didn't have money to just go buy whatever we wanted, and now that I'm a working adult, have money, I'm like, I can go buy everything that I want to buy. And it was a something I've struggled with. One of the hardest things I've had to do was stop spending money on my mobile phone game, and that was a big thing. And I'm just being honest with you. You know, to me, spending money on a mobile phone game is just a waste, and it is a waste. However, I felt like it was a gambling addiction. Um, and they use people, those games, they use people who are, have trouble setting boundaries, So I still play, but I don't spend. And I know I don't spend because I have been tracking my spending on that. And I had to be honest with my husband. At first, I was ashamed to tell him how much money I was actually spending on my phone game. Um, but he loves me and he knows it's a problem for me. So I've really been trying hard um, not to do that. Um, and I've been doing the last 2 months. I've done excellent. I've done a wonderful job. So um, so anyway, so back to setting. Start small and set realistic goals. Okay. So let me make sure I hit all my. So when you set your realistic goals, then you like one of the first things I did when I started decluttering from when I was during a very bad depression. I had a falling out with my middle son, and it led to the point where he had to say, I want nothing to do with you and the family. And I did not talk to him for over a year. So that was devastating to me because my kids were my life, you know. And then I had my daughter-in-law. I didn't get to talk to her, and then my granddaughter, and that was so devastating. I mean, I it was a dark place. Okay, so when I think about it, I still cry. But anyway, so during that time, I could not resolve that situation with him. So my thought was, okay, I can't resolve that with him and make that better. What can Nikki do? What does Nikki have control of that she can make better in her own life? And one of the things was getting my house in order. And and there was other things I had on my list that I wanted to work on. And so I started, the one thing I wanted to start working on was my kitchen. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to start on. And so when I went to YouTube, I started um, Googling decluttering videos and things, and the Minimal Mom came up. And she always talks about starting small. You know, like her videos, if you go back and watch her videos, she does one little thing at a time. Like she would work on a bookcase, or she would work on a kitchen drawer, or she would work on a tub that, of clothes or whatever, or she would work on a bathroom. So she didn't do her whole house at once. And there were times where she has already went through and did her house, and she would start over because you still accumulate things, if you're not being intentional. So that's what I started. Um, in the previous episode, I talked about creating a plan. What are you going to work on? Because me saying I'm going to declutter my kitchen, that's a major endeavor, because at the time I had so much stuff that I had to get rid of and or to go through. Now I didn't have to get rid of it, but there was a lot of things that I had two of. I had three of, or some of it was broken, or some of it had something missing, and I couldn't even use it. So that's what I'm talking about, is starting small. So the first thing I did, I had this cabinet that had all of my quote unquote Tupperware in it, even though it wasn't all Tupperware. But I went through it, and I had a pile for what was trash. I had a pile for duplicates, and then I had a pile for donate, and I had a pile to keep. So the keep stuff was easy, so I put that back. And I wanted to have enough room to where I could see everything in the cabinet and it. So I knew that I had the complete set of that one thing. And the duplicates, so the trash was easy, the donation stuff was easy. What I had, was easy to make a decision on. The duplicates was a problem for me at that time, because I'm like, well, what if this breaks? If this breaks, then I gotta buy another one, even though I already have another one here. So, in the beginning, it's hard to make those decisions. So my thing is just to focus on one area at a time and just start small. So that leads me to the next point: focus on one area at a time. This prevents you from getting overwhelmed. It's important to concentrate on decluttering one area before moving on to the next. Dawn also talks about select a high priority area first that causes you most stress or frustration. So that's why I picked my kitchen, because at the time that was the one thing that was causing me the most stress. And now my kitchen is small, and if you remember in my previous videos or episodes, my home is 1890, so I only have three or four. I don't have that much cabinet space, and so I have I have added like an island with wheel on caster wheels. So that was filled up, and then I had added a baker's rack, and I had that filled up. So that um, I've just each time I decluttered it, I've moved things around, and now I've almost got it down to where, because I would love to remove the baker's rack from my kitchen altogether. So, but I'm still, getting rid of things. And I think once I declutter my island, which is next on my list for this summer, I might be able to get rid of the baker's rack. And I'm really close. So it's just going through the process multiple times, just multiple times. Um, so, Don, what are those clutter hotspots in your house? She wants you to focus on those first. if you have an island in your kitchen and it's always cluttered, that's where you need to focus. So you want to be able to clean it off and get everything off of it if you want a clean space. But how do you prevent that island from getting cluttered again? So the things that usually end up there need to go to its home instead of just using it to, drop your stuff off of. Drop your, just dumping your stuff there. I'm trying to say that. So, so when you give your full attention to one area, then, moms can see that there's progress being made, and it gives you momentum to keep going. So when you win one area of being decluttered, and then you go to the next area and you get that decluttered, you've made an improvement. It takes a load off your mind, and that's what I did. I just went from one cabinet to the next cabinet, to the baker's rack, to the island, to the stove. Um, I just did one thing at a time, and I keep doing that because we still obtain things. If you bring things in the house and you don't get rid of anything, then you're just going to keep accumulating stuff. So it's a constant process. I was so naive in thinking that once I decluttered, that I didn't have to declutter ever again. Well, that's not true, because you keep going out, you buy more clothes. So now when I buy a new pair of shorts, I put an old pair of shorts in the donation box. Is it, a pair that I don't wear anymore, I don't like, or it's falling apart, or they don't fit, I replace it with something new. If I bring something new in, then I take something old out. You don't have to be like that, but you do got to be in get in a routine to where you're constantly rotating stuff out, because if you don't, then your house is just going to it's going to become a hoarder house. I don't want that. I know you don't want that. So Dawn talks about, what causes the most stress or frustration in your house, and which is why I, worked on my kitchen first. I gave it my full attention, and it took me several months to get it done, because now remember, it was in the middle of winter. I was around the holidays. I was still struggling with the thought of never seeing my granddaughter, my son again, and my daughter-in-law again. And I did not want to participate in the holidays. And then COVID happened, and it got to the point where I just worked. I came downstairs and I sat on the couch, and I would numb out watching TV. I would numb out playing my game on my phone, and I didn't want to cook dinner. I didn't want to do anything. That's how bad I was. And so it took me a while to decide, okay, I don't want to live like this anymore. I got to take care of myself. Of course, the first thing I did was call my doctor and be like, hey, I need help. The medicine I'm taking isn't working. I'm going through some things, and I need some help. So, okay, so then the next point is the 4-box method that she uses. So Dawn has this 4-box method that she uses. It's you label one for keep, one for donate/sell, and then one for trash, and then one for relocate. Sorry, I just hit my mic. As you declutter, you sort items into these boxes accordingly, and this method helps moms make quick decisions, reduces your decision fatigue, and creates clear boundaries for these items. And it actually works. Now, I think on the 4-box method, the trash one, she actually uses the black trash bag now. So I've seen them where it's a trash bag and some is a box. But she just writes it on there, so whatever small area you're working on, you know, um, you can use those. So let's go over. So far, what we've talked about is start small and set realistic goals. Um, Focus on one area at a time, and then use the 4 box method. So, and then we'll go over the 90-day rule, which I do follow. And then I ask for support and accountability. I had not asked for accountability until um, actually my life coach, she helps me with that. But I also actually joined Dawn's private Facebook group, and they do accountability things in there. So because I knew I was almost done, decluttering my home. I wanted to get the rest of it done, and which I'm really close to doing that. So, but before we go on, I do want to remind everybody to, if you're watching on YouTube, to comment, like, and subscribe. And I mean, if I was to see a new subscriber, I would probably almost poop my pants. No, not really. That's how excited I would be, though. Or I would do the pee pee dance. But I'm sorry, that's goofy. Anyway, if you are listening on the podcast, please go to Apple iTunes and rate the podcast. And a couple weeks ago, I got 2 brand new reviews, and I was so flippin' excited. I mean, I thought I had won $1,000,000. So that's how great it felt. And don't forget that if you do listen to the podcast, that you can become a paid subscriber. It's $4.99 a month, and that helps me with overhead. Because as of right now, everything that I do, I pay for out of my own pocket, and my husband would greatly appreciate it. So, and another one last thing, and then we'll get back to our episode is you can subscribe to my newsletter. If you don't like to listen to my voice and you don't want to watch me on YouTube, but you would like to read my content, I would subscribe to the newsletter. I put 1 to 2 out every month, and you can go to www.nikkiasherbowling.com and get signed up. So, okay, back to the show. So the next point is embracing the 90-day rule. So to ease anxiety and letting go of items, um, the 90-day rule is implementing a 90-day rule. And what this rule is if an item hasn't been used, needed, or thought about in the last 90 days, it's likely safe to let it go. This helps to overcome attachment to unnecessary belongings and promotes a clutter-free and a simple environment. Now, I do this rule, and it's a good rule. So she also calls it just in case. So if you're unsure of something that you might want to keep because you might need it just in case, to go ahead and keep it. And that's how I apply my sentimental items to, is this 90-day rule. And so when I go back and visit it, I know I didn't do anything. I didn't think about it. I didn't do anything with it once or twice, just to let it go again. I mean, just put it in the donation box, and if I come across something else that I might be afraid of letting go, then I use that 90-day rule for that. And if I'm not, now there are some things that are sentimental that I have touched 4 or 5 times and I'm still struggling with it. Um, I cleaned out the closet in my office because I wanted to create a prayer closet. And so I had some sentimental clothing in this closet and I took it downstairs to where my regular that I need to get rid of those things. And but when I left them up here in my office closet, I wasn't thinking about them at all because I don't go in there. You know, I don't use that office closet for anything. I was just storing those pieces of clothing that I didn't want to deal with. So taking them downstairs and putting them with my regular clothing has made me is forcing me to deal with those things. And I'm going to have to make a decision about them soon. So that's how you deal with that 90-day thing. If you're in the beginnings of your decluttering process, that's okay. You if you know it's too much to think about, then just go ahead and put it in the just in case box and deal with it again in 90 days. In 90 days, not 6 months, it's 3 months. Yeah. Sometimes I do the 6 months, but anyway. So the last point is seek support and accountability. So on all of these things, um, always ask for help. Even if you're decluttering, ask, call somebody on the, oh my Lord, just call somebody and talk to them while you're decluttering, you know. Um, it really helps you get through the process faster. And then there are times if you are struggling in a moment where you're having a lot of anxiety, or you're in depression, then just do 5 minutes and then go sit down. But you know, we just need to encourage moms dealing with depression, anxiety to seek support and accountability. And it may take you longer. And and when you engage with a friend or a family member, now I have trouble with in asking, I've tried to ask family members and friends for help, but they're so caught up in their own day to day that putting my thing on them sometimes can be too much. So that's why I'll join a Facebook group because they don't know me, they don't know my garbage, and so, but we're all there for the same reason. We're all there to become better people. We're all there to have a better home. And so I can share my decluttering journey with them, and they're in the same boat. So they are appreciative of that, and we're helping each other, and so we can give encouragement and we can hold each other accountable, and it makes this whole process um, like a smaller process, as you do the baby steps. And it also makes it more fun because, you both are going through it together, you're finding things together, you're struggling together. And so, and then, and if you have any kind of sense of humor, like I have a sense of humor, then I can joke about something or you can joke about it, and you can have like a oh haha moment, and then laugh about it. So I would highly encourage you. So I hope that, um, all of these points have helped you. So for one last time, let's start small and set realistic goals. Focus on one area at a time. Use the four box method. Embrace the 90-day rule. And then, of course, seek support and accountability. If you are someone who cannot hold yourself accountable, like I can't hold myself accountable, then I strongly suggest you reach out to me or reach out to another support group and get involved. If you feel like you can't reach out to a family member or to a friend, I mean, I have friends that will listen to me, but if they're not going through it with me to get, in the process, then they can only listen and may be able to offer some advice or support. However, if I'm in a support group of like-minded people and we're all doing this together and I go on and post about struggling with decluttering something, then they can emphasize with me, you know. So that's the whole point of me saying that. So I hope that you have enjoyed this and the summer decluttering slash cleaning series. And I hope that it has helped you in your journey. And so I would strongly recommend you reaching out or just commenting and letting me know what you thought about this series. I plan on doing more series of things that I'm working on, especially like my budget. My budget sucks. So and because we've been paying off, trying to pay off consumer debt, I did want to schedule, you know, like some fun things and spend money. So I've been trying to think of fun things to do without spending money. And there's things that you can do. So, um, so let me know what you think about this series, and I hope to see you again. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, go to Apple iTunes and rate and review the podcast. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.